folks. It's Mark, the Ballpark Hunter, and you're listening to the Ballpark Hunter podcast. My first episode in about a month. I had to take a little break, did some vacation across the ocean, and saw some soccer games, and just needed a break. I just had a lot of stuff going on, but we're back, and we are with an old friend. That is Mr. Hunter Kane, who this year in 2025 will be the assistant GM for the Lexington Flying Pigs of the Old North State League. So, Hunter, welcome back. And there's a lot to tell us because the last time you were on here, you were about to do a summer internship with Edenton in Hickory. Uh, I don't know how you pull that off, but I want to hear about it. So, welcome back.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thanks for having me back on. I'm super excited to be back.
All right, sounds great. So, I don't know when we talked, but it was right before the season, and you were telling me how you had this goal of wanting to work in baseball, and you were trying to manage that with your family and your military career, and you were taking on a job with Edenton and Hickory, trying to do both teams during the summer of 2024. Can you just tell us how everything went this year? Was it what you expected? Any surprises?
Um, so I think there was a lot of surprises, but I also feel like there was a lot that I gained from the whole experience as a whole. It's definitely tough to put into words how each member of the staff, when I worked for Edenton and when I worked for Hickory, kind of helped mold me into the position that I have today and where I'll go from this point. So I guess we can start with Hickory because they were first.
Hmm.
So I went to Hickory in May, a week before my daughter was born. She's here now. So
Oh, great.
um, the first day that I went to Hickory, I was super nervous because this is the first time that I had ever done anything like this. I reached out
Mhm.
via email, had very good conversations with the stadium operations manager. His name is Alex Cook. We're still pretty good friends to this day, so I'm thankful for that. So I got to the ballpark around, I'd say 9 o'clock in the morning. We started immediately at 9:30. We did a little formalities. I met the general manager of the Crawdads, the assistant GM of the Crawdads, and some other staff members before the day started. Um, After that, we started around 9:30, 9:45, I would say. We started off with just simple spraying down the ballpark. So when it came to the stadium operations internship that I wanted to do with them, a lot more came into it than I thought it would originally. So we started at early in the morning, sprayed down the ballpark, cleaned up the ballpark, make it presentable for when staff come in later in the afternoon, and then when the fans show up, it makes you really appreciate how much really goes into maintaining a stadium, preparing a stadium. So we spent from 9:30 till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon prepping the stadium, getting everything ready. 4 o'clock, we set up giveaways we had a camo jersey night at the ballpark when I was there the first night. So we were working on presenting those at the table, making sure we finished all of our last minute arrangements. Once the game started, I was kind of, patrolling, I guess you could say, the ballpark to make sure that everything was still in good order, making sure that every inflatable was good. It meant the correct standards. The ballpark was clean, the bathrooms were clean. Everything had a moving flow and ebb to it as well. Making sure you put away thing. One of the main things I learned throughout that experience that day was you make sure that things are put away once you finished with them. So then that way, at the end of the night, it kind of alleviates a lot of the pressure to close everything down, make sure everything's good again for tomorrow afternoon. So that day, it was learning a lot. Alex is a great teacher, and he's like I said earlier, he's a great friend, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity. I actually went back to the Crawdads at the end of the summer for another game. Kind of did the same deal. Just got to spend more time with him, pick his brain about stuff like that, and then yeah, it was overall a great experience in Hickory as well. I'm very thankful for that.
Now, how long were you with Hickory this past year? It wasn't
So
the
I
whole
managed
year.
No, sir. So I
Okay.
managed to do 2 games with them. So I did 1 in May, and then I did 1 in July before I went back from paternity leave, and then the rest of that in between, I was with the Edenton Steamers.
Okay. Yeah, and that's one of the ballparks I have never been to. It's one of those old. It's a small town. Looks like a fun little atmosphere. So definitely curious what it was like to spend a summer. with the Steamers?
So I can get into that part first. You know, you never really appreciate the small town
No.
values that some of these teams have until you see it up close and personal. I remember my first day there, I had already a great relationship with the general manager at the time, Jared. So we hit the ground running the first day I got there. It was a really great experience starting at the beginning and then ending and then eventually coming back in July. But you know, the fan support, the town support, everybody comes out in the community. You have 750 to 1,000 people every night for a game. It didn't matter if it was a league game or if it was, you know, just an exhibition games that they would hold against other teams. Everybody in the town loves the Steamers. You could see
Mm,
it if you walk through the town in the afternoons. Everyone has Steamers flags. Everyone
that's
has
great.
Steamers pennants in the walls and things like that. And it was definitely a great atmosphere to get my foot in the door as well, to understand what baseball means to small communities and how important it plays in roles in not just the state of North Carolina, but in, you know, small towns across the United States as well.
Yeah, you're right because North Carolina, like I've always said, and South Carolina. I mean, there's so many ballparks, so many small little towns, and I live in Indiana, and we have a lot of small little towns, but no ballparks. We don't have that sort of that little atmosphere or those ballparks organizations where we can start one of our own teams. And here in Edenton, they've been around for quite some time. They've been in different leagues, and they still have that great logo, and it looks like they still have that fan support. So, uh, what differences did you see between them and Hickory? Obviously, Hickory is an affiliated program. Edenton Summer Collegiate. Any big differences that stood out, or was it all the same type of
I think
business?
people get it misconstrued a lot is that summer league and minor league don't really, you know, coexist. They can't really do it. If you look at a lot of towns across the United States that have either had, you know, a summer league team and then a minor league comes in, I think there's a lot of parallels to it. I think it's
Mhm.
family friendly, it's affordable, um, compared to, you know, major league counterparts. But I really think that there's not a lot of differences because the fan support for each team was there. You know, when I was at Hickory, for those 2 nights, we averaged about 2,000 fans in the game. Obviously, it's at a smaller scale because the ballparks aren't the same size, so you can't compare the attendance rates,
Yeah.
but I really believe that fan support is what drove my passion even more for it, and making sure that I had those 2 stops on my journey was really crucial because you can interact with fans that have been fans of the team since they came, fans of the game since, you know, when they were kids. And it's really cool to see communities come out in droves, really, whether they're host families in Edenton or they've been season ticket holders with the Crawdads or, you know, players' families when we had them in Edenton. So it was a really cool experience, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything because it got me to where I am and then for my future roles as well.
Yeah, no, it seemed like you had a goal, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna work for these two teams, and the travel. You were a little closer to Edenton, from what I remember, from your home in Columbia. Is that where you are?
Fayetteville right now.
Fayetteville. Okay.
So to get to Edenton, it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So the first week I was there, I stayed with a host family. Her name is Miss Penny. She's helped with the Steamers for the last, I believe, 10 years.
Okay.
So she hosts players. So she had me for the first week I was there. She was very nice, very kind. It was kind of weird for myself, you know, being a little older than these college kids and having a family, going into this experience, but she made me feel welcome. So did the whole Edenton staff, um, and the players as well, which I thought was really cool. They didn't look at me as like an outsider or anything like
Nice.
that, which I really appreciated. So it was about 2 hours and 45 minutes to Edenton and 2 hours and 40 minutes to Hickory. So about the same distance each way.
Yeah. And then with Hickory, did you make that commute since it was only two games? Did you make the commute back and forth, or did you stay somewhere?
No, I made the commute. I mean, it was really long. We started, like I said, at 9, so I left about 6 in the morning, got home around 1 in the morning,
Hmm.
in Hickory, and then towards the end at Edenton, I was there for parts of July, so it was like 3 or 4 games, I think, and then, I made the commute for those games, so I would leave at 6 o'clock, be there at 8, and then leave the ballpark around like 11, 12, and then get home around 1:30, 2 o'clock. So it's kind of the price you have to pay if you want to learn how to do something, I guess. And I couldn't have thought of any better spots than those two to start my career. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If I used to do 3 hour, I used to go to ballparks 3 hours away from me to visit, and then come back. In fact, this past weekend, I was at a soccer game. There were folks from Providence, Rhode Island. They drove out to Indianapolis to see their team play in a playoff game. Jumped in their car and drove 14 hours back. So 2 hours and 40 minutes is it's a
Not
cake.
that bad.
It's
Yeah.
not bad. It's like damn 14 hours. But I'm older than you, but I'm getting to that age where I don't even want to drive. Man, anything past 2 hours, 2.5 hours for me is in one night back and forth is long. But you're at the age where I was with you back then. If it took me 3 hours to get someplace, and I would save money on the hotel and come right back. So I definitely know where you're coming from. And I used to have friends tell me, "Oh, why don't you get a hotel? It's so cheap." And you know, uh, they still tell me that. But I'm at yeah. I'm trying to think like Columbus, Ohio. It's about a 2 hour and 40 minute drive for me. I can do that because that's a straight shot down I-70. But I don't know. There's some other drives I'd rather just get a hotel and stay. And I have friends I just would rather pull over and sleep in a car, which I don't know if I want to do that. But I'm kind of curious what other people do. Do you drive a long distances? Do you get a hotel? Do you sleep in a car? It just depends where your drive is. But you did it. You got the experience. Any one thing you take from working in either Hickory or Edenton that you're like, wow, this is valuable information. I'm definitely going to use it at my next organization.
So there was things I learned from both organizations, I think. So I think when I worked with Alex specifically in Hickory, he taught me the value of understanding what it takes to manage a facility, which I think is important, especially in future roles that I'll have when I am the one of the providers to making sure that works. And just understanding what it takes to bring a product to the field and understanding what it takes to make sure that everyone has a fan's first experience and comes back and tells their friends about it so that way more
Yeah.
people come back. And then I think with the Steamers it kind of broke me out of my shell. I'm very introverted at times, so when I'm in a larger crowd I kind of just tend to stick with myself, stick with what I know. But working with Jared and Hutch, who was the assistant general manager, and Trayvon, it kind of let me bring out of my shell a little bit. I interacted with more people at the games. I made friendships with some of the players that were on the team. I understood how staffing works, how you work with food distributors, how you work with stocking things, how you work with prepping things for the game,
Hmm.
setting up the entire ballpark for whether it be a giveaway or setting up the stands correctly. So you can take things with both of them. I think from working at two different levels, you kind of see exactly what you want to do in your future career. So the main point of last summer was taking that opportunity and seeing if this is what I really wanted to do. And then I knew that after I finished in July with the Steamers and the Crawdads, I knew that Summer League Baseball GM was the job that I wanted. I saw how it affects small town communities. And like we mentioned earlier on the last podcast, working with teams like the Lightning or something like that is a dream come true for me. And I know it's going to take time to build to get to that, but
Hmm.
being able to affect communities in a smaller environment and a more controlled, I guess you could say, area, and bringing that fans first experience and delivering a championship mentality, not just on the field, but as an organization as well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So your goal is summer collegiate. That's where you would want to be, to own your own team, GM.
So I want to be a GM for
Yeah,
sure, just to start off, and then once I moved up and things like that, one day I'd like to be an owner of a team,
yeah,
and then eventually down the line, before I were to retire, I'd like to be like a league commissioner. I think that would be kind of cool. So just building those steps, but the next goal after this is to become GM, and then
yeah.
eventually owner, and then eventually league commissioner.
Yeah, I tell you, I had those dreams too to say I would love to own a team and give it its own name and colors and create a logo for it. So, there's a lot of us that are listening. They're like, yeah, man, Hunter, I felt the same way too. So they'll be rooting for you as you try to obtain those goals. Which let's be honest, you're a man who's driven, and I think you'll get those before you know it. And
Thank you.
you look back at those 3 hour drives and say, "Ha, that was nothing." But yeah, wait till you own your own team, and you got to get your players, and you got to make sure you have enough food and employees and train them a certain way. You'll be wanting those 3 hour drives again. That was easy. Those would be
Yeah.
the good old days. So, all right. So you completed both your jobs there, and your next step was to work for a team. Now, when I think I first talked to you, you had a couple teams that were interested in bringing you on, but you decided to go with the Lexington Flying Pigs. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so it was kind of a weird predicament, I guess you could say. I knew that if we were staying in North Carolina until I got out of the military, that the old North State League, excuse me, was where I wanted to be. I feel like it's very family friendly
Hmm.
environments. There's good players that come out to the league. There's good fan support. So it was finding a team that aligned with my goals. I did interview and got a position with the Tarboro River Bandits.
Yeah, cool.
Once September came, I took the position for about a month and a half. Um, Things happened that, you know, everything happens in a business. So I decided to reach out to other teams. I had an interview with Lexington, and it just felt like the perfect fit for myself and what I'm trying to achieve in the role that I wanted. So then I met with the assistant GM last weekend. He had me and my family out for lunch. We toured the ballpark, and him and his family being there with my family, and kind of me and him sharing these envisions that we had for the summer, leading the league in attendance, winning the first championship for the team. Uh, that's what I wanted to be a part of, and I knew that this was a great brand to not only attach myself with, but to continue to work hard in and represent it with pride and just do all the right things that you're supposed to do every day for it.
So it just clicked as soon as you had dinner and or lunch and you saw the ballpark. You knew you're in the right place.
So I would say it clicked on the first interview I had.
Okay.
So I reached out to him at around 11. The owner of the team, he reached back out at 12.
Hmm.
We texted, we set up a meeting for the same day. So we talked at 2:30, probably talked about for an hour and a half. And I came home. I told my wife, I was like, this is where I want to be. He mentioned to me that he was open to the idea. He loved my, drive and enthusiasm for it. He wanted to help me get everything I needed to learn to eventually take a GM role after the season was over. And he just really aligned with all my beliefs and my values when it comes to things like this and learning as much as I can. And I couldn't have thought of a better spot to be than Lexington, the Flying Pigs, and then the Kirkman family as a whole.
Nice, nice. And I know you mentioned earlier there the ballpark, Holt Moffett Ballpark has a hill in left field. So
It does, yes.
we're taking a look at that right now, and that's in play, correct? They can climb up, or is that steep?
Yes, sir. So
Oh,
you
geez.
the pictures don't do it justice. You
Yeah.
kind of have to see it for yourself. When I was there last weekend, the owner mentioned to me that sometimes players will see the ball hit to the edge of the warning track underneath the wall where the ball will just sit there and they'll wait for it to come down and it
Wow.
never does. So a lot of players like to come to Lexington when their team is playing or just come to Lexington in general to just play the hill and see how it reacts in person. So the hill is in play. So it starts in the left field
Yeah.
corner. It goes all the way up to center field, and then it's just a normal ballpark from half of center field all the way to right field. So it's a quirky little ballpark, but it kind of gets the job done, I guess, and it provides for some fun and entertainment. I think this summer, so it'll be interesting to see how these players navigate it.
Yeah, I've seen hills and other kind of low level ballparks. So my goodness, that is steep. And you're right. The pictures don't do it justice because you're thinking, I mean, do they climb up it? Do you bang against it to catch a ball? It looks like you have some adventures out there. So it's yeah, it's a unique looking ballpark. Anything else about the ball? I mean, you say it's just a normal ballpark. Look, it was built in 1939. Any other unique things about it, or
So the field is shared with the local American Legion team. So
okay,
we play on the field for 4 days a week. So then the Legion gets the ball field for the other 3 days. It is it's a historic landmark in the state of North Carolina. So it was built in, like you said, the 1930s. Um, but other than that, it's just a normal, small town ballpark. I believe it seats around about 350 to 400, and they have the main bleachers, and then they have a section on the right field side which is called the pig pen. So that's where fans can go interact with the players down at the bullpen,
cool.
things like that. So it's a smaller ballpark, but I think that this summer when we're playing really well and we're contending for the playoffs, that it's going to get really rowdy in there really fast.
Yeah, no, it looks like, and I love old ballparks, and I know I had the Ballpark brothers out here on this show a few years ago, and they toured it. Now they didn't see a game; they just happened to be driving through town, and it just looks like one of those, small little stadiums in a small town that when you get a bunch of people there and food and a good game, it's the place to be. So and then you got that hill there that people are like, what the heck is that? And you just want to see some kind of action take place there. So yeah, good times, good times. So now you mentioned you were with Tarboro. Did you guys leave on good terms, or nothing bad? Just had a difference of opinions.
It was nothing bad. I think that with where I'm at in my career,
Yeah.
we kind of ended on, level terms. I didn't tell him that I was, moving on or anything at the time. I was just saying like, hey, I don't think this is the right spot for me. So I gave him the common courtesy of leaving before I took another position, which I feel like is the right thing to do in a business setting. So I mentioned to him, I said, "Hey, I don't think this is going to work out. I think I'm going to move on and look for another opportunity." And then Lexington happened, and then I'm glad I'm in the right position, and I feel like it's
Okay.
going to be a great summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. So this is just for 1 year. Do you see yourself lasting in Lexington, or is that just to
Us,
be determined?
so it'll be just for this season. So it'll be from last week is when I officially took the position. So last week until about the end of the season. Hopefully it's August when we win the title. It could be earlier, hopefully not, you know, but it'll just be from now until August is what we'll say. We'll have the league title and then I can move on to other things. So
Okay. And then once again with the drive, this is are you based in Lexington, or are you going to be commuting?
I'll be commuting for the games. I'll also be attending road games for the team,
Okay.
and then I'll also be attending the All-Star game as well, which I haven't got any word of where it is yet. I'm sure I'll
Mhm.
find out at the league meetings in January, but um, it'll just be about a 2-hour drive, so it's a little less. It's
Yeah.
Lexington. If you've seen it on a map, it's near High Point and it's near Greensboro.
Oh yeah.
It's about 70 miles ish south of Charlotte. So it's a really small town. It's famous for barbecue, hence the name
Oh
Flying
yes.
Pigs.
Yep.
So it's a fun, quirky spin on a name, I guess you could say. And from what I've heard, it should be a great summer. The owner and I have had extensive conversations about, players, experiences that we want to have, staffing, things like that. So I envision we're gonna finish top of the division again, like we did
Mhm.
last season, and we're gonna make a deep run in the playoffs and hopefully win it all.
Yeah, great. And it's funny you speak of Lexington. I actually made a video there a few years ago at Lexington Barbecue. So it's have a friend in Greensboro, and I was driving south to Charlotte doing a ballpark tour. So I said, well, everybody says come to Lexington. So it's one of those spots where you try some barbecue. I don't know which is the best place. I went to Lexington Barbecue, so little different than what I'm used to out in Texas and Kansas City. But I don't know. You're from Carolina. What's your take on barbecue in Carolina? The best in the
Oh,
country?
it's the best. I mean, I've been to Texas before. I've been to Carolina. I haven't made it out to Kansas City before, but Carolina is the best. It's hands down. The mustard sauce is where it's
Yeah,
at. You can't beat it. So,
yeah. It's
um,
a different experience, which is good.
yeah, it's not.
I like it.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, and that's okay. But it's what I grew up on, pimento cheese, Carolina barbecue, so
Mhm.
I think this is the best where it is.
Yeah, and it's the original barbecue from what most people tell me. This is where it started in the country,
Correct.
and then everybody else got it secondhand. So it's a lot cheaper, though. I can tell you that. Austin, Texas, what they charge for barbecue, I was like, goodness, oh my! I mean, you know, $35 a pound for brisket, which is awesome. Good. I love it. But ooh, 35. Give me some pulled pork in Lexington for with a platter for 12 bucks. 15. I'll be happy.
I will
Couple
say
sides.
I haven't had the barbecue in Lexington. However, if you ever get out to Edenton, they do
Mm,
have a barbecue restaurant that's about a mile from Hicks Field, and I'm not saying any biases, but it's some of the best barbecue I've ever
okay.
had. And they have different sauces you can choose from. They have this thing called a Carolina Twinkie, which is a sausage that has cheese and other things stuffed in the middle of it. It is one of the greatest, and bacon wrapped around it on the outside.
The
Oh, it's so
Carolina
good.
Twinkie. It's not a Twinkie. It's just
Yeah.
looks like a Twinkie.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. That sounds like I'm on this new medication to lose weight. So please do not tell me to have Carolina Twinkies and God knows what else they have out there because that's just going to screw everything up for me. But when I travel for baseball, which I didn't do a lot this summer for medical reasons with my dog, and I went to see my dad in Costa Rica. I'm definitely urging to get back out there in 2025 to see some baseball. And goodness, Greensboro, North Carolina would be an awesome little headquarter for me. And come down to Lexington to check out the Flying Pigs would be definitely on my list. So who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
we'd love to have you out for a ball game.
Yeah,
We'll see if I can get something coordinated for you and have a night for you, and we'll make sure hopefully the team wins and it's a good product on the
yeah.
field for you when you come in.
Well, I mean, there you go. And I know Ed Rivera, the Dad Hat Chronicles. I think he's in Raleigh, so he's not too far either. I'm sure you can get him out there. There's a few folks that live in that area that love going to ballparks, and every time one of these new teams or new leagues pop up, not that Lexington's brand new, it's just another little avenue to say, hey, let's go out to the ballpark. Let's go experience something a little bit different than maybe Winston Salem or Greensboro or the folks up in Burlington, sock puppets who I love. But it's just like I'm a kid in the candy store when I'm out in the Carolinas during the summer. There's just a lot of baseball, and you're going to be traveling to all the road games. There's about what 16 teams in the league.
So I will mainly go to probably divisional games,
Okay.
and then if there's ballparks I haven't been to yet, I'll probably stop by those, and hopefully that we have Edenton on the schedule this summer, so I can see
Yeah.
some old friends again. But we have games that'll be in Sanford, North Carolina, which is 45 minutes from where I am now. There's a new team up in Raleigh. There is teams over in Wake Forest. So all of our teams are located in the Raleigh Chapel Hill footprint for the most part.
Okay.
So it'll be an easier distance between each ballpark, I think, and just rooting on the pigs to get some wins on the road because that's how
Yeah.
you win championships. You get wins on the road.
Okay. No, definitely. Okay. Well, before I let you go, what are some of the first things you're going to be doing as assistant GM for the Flying Pigs?
Yeah, so right now I'm working on helping getting some sponsorships set up
Yeah.
for this upcoming season. Not just sponsorships that go up on the outfield fence, but sponsorships for game events, game nights, things like that. Also going to be helping with host family coordinations once the season starts rolling in, and obviously helping with ticket sales, season ticket sales. Once scheduling comes out next month, things like that. And then once the season starts to come to a head, going out to the ballpark, making sure everything's set up, working with the other interns, the general manager, and the ownership, just to make sure we have everything ready to go and ready for the season to start, and chasing that championship dream that we all have in the building that we're chasing.
Yeah. And how many internships do you think you guys are going to have? Is it a big number?
So I'm not sure right now.
Sure.
I think last year they had about 4 or 5. They had
Okay.
a GM, the two owners, Danny and Amber, who are my bosses, along with Jordan, who's the GM, and she's also my boss. And then there's 4 or 5 interns that'll come in. There's also a special fan that we have. He is our super fan over in Lexington. His name is Mr. Ray Ray.
Cool.
Mr. Ray Ray is at every game. He always helps out with the games beforehand. He'll help set everything up beforehand as well, help everything at the end of the night, interacts with the players all night as well. Kind of give some jabs to the other team as well. You know what super fans do, but Mr. Ray Ray is the life of Lexington Flying Pigs baseball. So when you come out to Lexington this summer, you'll get to meet
Yeah.
Mr. Ray Ray, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I know. Zach Beeson, one of the listeners and past guests. He's been out to some of the old North State League games, and he just says it's amazing. You can just hit some of these ballparks, within a short distance, and just always keep yourself busy with baseball. So it's fun. The old North State League. It's just that they've been around for a couple years, maybe three, and they've really made a name for themselves. And not only their logos, but the type of experience and ballparks that they play in. So definitely looking forward to your journeys this summer, and we wish you the best of luck. And next time we talk, who knows, you could be a GM for a team, but
That's the goal.
that's the goal.
I've already interviewed with a couple teams. I'll
Yeah,
keep that to myself at the moment, but
no problem.
interviewing with different teams right now for that position come August, and I've already gotten one approval for one. So when we talk again at the end of the season, I'll keep it a surprise and let you
Yeah,
know where I'm going. But you never know where the game will take you.
yeah,
So obviously, the end goal would be league commissioner of the Florida Collegiate Summer League, back to where it all started. Um, but right now, just working on the up and up and full circle moments, I guess you could say. Right now, it's kind of cool to think about. I think about it on the drives like I did last summer. Going from Edenton was like I was a kid at these games, asking the players for autographs, asking to take pictures, being the bat boy, and now I'm working the games, learning the experiences. Now I'm the assistant GM, eventually the GM, and then you kind of see everything full circle of what baseball can bring to not only younger generations but the older generations as well. So it's definitely
yeah.
a full circle moment that I have to, pinch myself that I've made it this far and I still have a lot more to do. So
Yeah. All right. And then I guess we can't leave the show without talking about fatherhood. How was that? Obviously, it's changed you, but what's it like being a father, changing diapers, having a little girl in your life? Must be the biggest thrill of it all.
yeah, so it's the biggest thrill. She was born May 23rd, 2024.
Okay.
So she'll turn 6 months, November 23rd. And she is the pride and joy of my life. My wife and I are truly blessed, and we thank God for her every day. It's truly a humbling experience to, someone relies on you and depends on you for eating and sleeping
Hmm.
and things like that. So it changes your perspective on everything. And I think, taking her to the ballpark last weekend was really special for myself. It wasn't her actual first ballpark. We took a family trip to Savannah last month,
Okay.
and we took her to the Savannah Banana Stadium. So she kind of got us all beat for her first stadium ever. So
Nice.
kind of kind of jealous of that, but it's definitely a humbling experience, and it's something I don't take for granted, and I love it every day. Just seeing her smile or laugh or having fun is the joy in being a dad, I guess you can say. And just I want her to know if she ever listens to the show or anything I ever tell her, just never give up on what you want to do. No matter how many times people tell you no, it can be done.
Mhm.
And hopefully I can be a spitting image of that, now and 25, 30 years down the line as well.
Yeah, great. Well, I think by the time she's in kindergarten, she'll have like 100 ballparks under her belt. You know,
Hopefully not that many.
maybe not that, maybe 50s, but
Dad would prefer to, just be in a good role with a good
yeah, yeah,
organization, and she can come to that stadium, and if we're playing on the road sometimes she can go with dad, but hopefully we're in a good
yeah.
position.
No, yeah, you're right.
So
You're in one position because yeah, you definitely have that objective, and obviously you want to be in summer collegiate. But what about if the minor leagues call? Would you ever? Obviously, you would take that call and listen to them. But is your heart set on summer collegiate to be involved in those type of organizations?
I don't think I could ever, if an offer was good, I would decline it, but
Okay,
I think my heart is set on it.
cool.
Eventually I want to do player recruiting. I want to do bringing a lot of people on to my staff. the same way, Edenton and Hickory and Tarboro and Lexington have brought me on, and do things for the communities like all of these teams do. And I want to do that for, smaller communities. But like I said, if the minor leagues came calling, and eventually if the show comes, then it's kind of hard to turn down that opportunities. But my heart is set on summer league baseball, and not only being the best version of myself, but bringing the best version of the people around me into their best light as well. And I think that's how you create a winning culture and a winning organization. And I think that was really great to be a part of in last summer, to understand how that takes, and then going into this position, and then moving forward as well.
All right. Well, Hunter, appreciate you coming back on and once again giving us some great information about what you did last summer and what you're going to do this summer. So, best of luck to you. And if you want to find out more information, check out the Lexington Flying Pigs, lexingtonflyingpigs.com. And you can go on Twitter, Flying Pigs, ONSL, and get some more information. Subscribe to their channel. I'm sorry, follow them and reach out to them. I'm sure somebody will get back to you. It might even be you
Probably,
or
I
an
don't know.
intern. I don't know who controls the Twitter there, but somebody does. It's what thing I like about teams like the Flying Pigs. It's like if you send an email or tweet out, somebody does get back to you because it's not this giant 20 staff organization. It's a small little community. So perfect. All right. Well, I will let you get back to being a father, and I'm sure you have some work to do as well. It's the off season. This is the time when you start planning everything. So I'm sure you're very busy. And once again, best of luck and thank you for coming on. And as always, you're welcome back. And we'll definitely have to see how the season was this past year.
All right, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. All right. That's so hold on for a second here. I got a little bit of pain. That's Hunter Kane, assistant general manager of the Lexington Flying Pigs. So he's going to have a pretty exciting summer. He's got a brand new baby at home, and he's got goals. This guy wants to own a team, be a commissioner. Who the heck knows? Who the heck knows when he'll achieve these goals? I was sort of like him when I was his age. He just sound like an old man. I was like you at a young age. I wanted to be a commissioner and own a team, but um, I just got tired working for free. So I think with him, he gave himself a few years to say, "Hey, this is what I'll do." I think with me, I had the same plan, but I was a little bit lazy. I was a little bit lazy. I really didn't play the game. And I think a guy like Hunter is really focused, knows exactly what to do, probably a lot more mature than me at that age. I was a very immature guy in my 20s. I'm an immature guy in my late 40s. So, but just looking back at some of the things I did, like I had an opportunity to work in Portland, Maine for the Eastern League, and I would have been paid about $900 a month. And, my attitude in 2002 was, I don't want to work for you guys. You're going to pay me. And they're like, okay, we'll get 900 or bust. And that was it, and that I could not commute from New Jersey to Portland, Maine. So I would have had to find a place to live. And my mom was yelling at me, why are you going to college and not making enough money? So, if I had the drive he had, I would have said, okay, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to do it for a summer. Um, and we'll see where it goes. And I think if I did, I would have had some opportunities open up, just like Hunter. So, you know, Godspeed, Hunter. We wish you well, and we look forward to talking to you again. And before we leave, I just want to tell folks, yeah, I've been off for a few weeks. I need a break. I can't do this every week. Number one, uh, I don't have I didn't have a lot of time in my schedule on this new Wegovy, which I was on it for 3 months, lost a bunch of weight, and then I went up to a 1.7 dosage, and that thing killed me. Well, it didn't kill me. I felt like it was killing me. Stomach pain, diarrhea, stomach flu symptoms. I mean, I felt like crap. And I could, as soon as I would come home from work, even if I went to work, because there was one day I went home early, I would go straight to bed. I was in no mood for 2 weeks to do a podcast, to talk to anybody, to eat. I would look at food and it would make me sick. I was like, I'm not touching that. So I stopped using the Wegovy. I let that go through my system. I finally started getting an appetite. I started having a desire to eat. And like when you're sick for a week like that, a little over, it was a little over a week, you start craving food again. It's an amazing experience. You want pizza. You want to go to McDonald's and get a double cheeseburger. You want something from Taco Bell. I hate Taco Bell, but my goodness, the Mexi Melt is back. That was so freaking good. And you're like, and then peanut butter cups for Halloween and beer. Oh my goodness. I said, Mark, you lost a bunch of weight. Don't go crazy. So I'm back on a smaller dosage. My appetite's being suppressed a little bit right now, and I'm constipated as we do this episode. So that's stuff you really need to know or want to know about what's going on with my body right now. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. I don't know if I'm going to do this every week. I don't have a guest for next week. I hope to have someone. Luckily, I know guys like Hunter that like to come on here and talk and have something to say in the baseball world. And it also opens up, a lot of what's going on in summer collegiate leagues. And I'm sort of like Hunter now. I want to talk to the summer collegiate league team. So, if you are an owner, if you're a GM, if you're a player, I'd like to hear from the summer collegiate league teams. I don't think you guys get enough attention, and why not come on here and talk about your ballpark or the food you serve there or your jerseys or your logos or the small towns that you're in, because Lexington is a place you get barbecue. When I was there last in 2021, the team didn't exist, and I drove right through Lexington. I didn't even know you had a ballpark there. I could have stopped and looked at your ballpark. I didn't know you existed. I think that was the day I went to High Point, and then I drove to Catawba College, Catawba University, and their ballpark was being under construction, and I almost got hit with one of those Bobcat machines. Got yelled at. Guy's like, dude, man. The guy pretty much told me, he's like, man, this is a construction zone. You could not be here running around taking pictures, like you're going to get hurt. So, yeah, if you do that up in New Jersey, you couple guys named Tony and Vito come up to you and they're like, out of here. No YouTube video today. So anyway, so guys, thanks for listening. Hopefully we're back next week with an episode with somebody. I am reaching out to folks. Flag City Sluggers, I'm trying to reach you guys. Love to hear from you. Also love to hear from the Humboldt Crabs. Is that it? Or the Prune Smackers? I forget. There's a team somewhere out there. Hold on. What's the name of that team? The Prune Packers. Trying to hear the Heldsburg Prune Packers. I want them on here to talk about their unique baseball team. They say it's where summer fun hits a home run since 1921. So it's 2024. Let's talk about 103 years of baseball with you guys. So check me out on stadiumjourney.com, the industry's leader in sports reviews. You can check out the AAA rankings for 2024. See if your favorite ballpark matches where our list was. And this was a complete list from multiple writers across the Stadium Journey universe. You can check out the Stadium Journey podcast on YouTube at Stadium Journey. YouTube. And then you can check out the Ballpark Hunter on Twitter, Instagram, and you can go to YouTube. We have over 15,200 subscribers. So won't you subscribe to my channel? Tell a friend. I have stadium reviews from AFC Wimbledon in England. That was my London trip. Sorry, no ballparks out in London. They just don't like the game out there. But once the baseball season comes around, we'll have some reviews. We'll catch back up. So if you go on Ballpark Hunter now, you're going to get a lot of soccer, basketball, football, stadium reviews, but that's kind of how it is around this time. Actually, I do have one baseball review coming up. That's coming up pretty soon. It's from a foreign ballpark, and I think you'll like it. Hopefully, you'll like it because I do these videos for you guys. All right, guys, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking me out on YouTube. And we'll talk to you guys again. And hopefully next week we'll be here with a guest. If not, yeah, I'll think of something. Take care.